right, well, hello and welcome to another week of our City of Mist, the Reaper Soldiers campaign. I am joined today with a few of our previous players and a new player. He's not exactly completely new. We did have, unfortunately, some technical issues that made us lose one of the episodes. So we will have Mr. Eric Wessler reintroduce himself once we get there, so you have a chance to get to know him. And so we'll hop right back into the story. So, as the intro title fades, we see the crew last time. We start the day, and we see Blanche going about her business after having a bit of a nightmare. She headed to the library, where she just kind of checked in, wanted to make sure everything was going well. She saw that Tobias Hogan was there. He seemed to be doing some research. He had quite a few books in front of him, seemed to be carrying a pretty heavy hangover, and she had a brief interaction, was able to supply him with a recommendation, a book of Greek stories. She then made her way to the pit. Mike, in the meantime, well, after breaking free from the jail cart, made his way to work, got his donkey, got his cart, and headed to the East Slums. And for the most part, it was a pretty simple day. There weren't a lot of people looking. His bags and garbage were there to pick up, and his morning passed by, for the most part, uneventful, until later in the day, when he was just about to make his way back, as his cart was quite full. A younger boy, probably teenage boy, ran out of the house, appearing to have blood on his hands, and began to hide behind Mike's cart. After a little while, a larger, older man stepped out of this house, kind of having an air of being drunk and a knife in his leg, yelling after someone named Nigel. The boy kind of asked Mike for help. He was able to hide him away, and before a few other kind of younger men with tattoos all over him came out of the house, they were able to make their way away from the East Slums and back towards the pit. There at the pit, he noticed that there were a few mounted constables that seemed to have arrived and were questioning the secretary of the pit, Lisa. He was able to skirt around using a back gate to the pit that we hadn't seen before, and kind of use the heat, the smoke, as a bit of a shield. And then he made his way inside of the hideout, the headquarters, after a bit of a run around to try to not be spotted by the constables, which unfortunately did mean he had to lead his donkey and cart out to wander in the dying fields that surround the pit. But he and Blanche were able to have a conversation about the previous day's events. Blanche had some key phrases, key words to express her disappointment in Mike and William's determination to stay with Hans in the church when there are so many other options that they could have done. She got to meet Frederic for the first time and sent him out to go fetch some tea and cookies, so he's been gone for a little while. We also met Eric Wessler. We saw him at his home. He lives in the ethnic borough, kind of in an Eastern European, kind of lots of stone and concrete, not a lot of greenery, more just a place you go there to sleep, but an apartment there. We saw his mother, his sister. He had invited his sister to come to his next show. It was a pretty big deal, as she had never been to his show before. While he was getting everything prepared for the day, he grabbed his notebook, his sketchbook, and a letter fell out. He was able to pick it up before his mother found it, but on the front it had an emblem for this order that he had been questioning recently, or spreading questions around. He then made his way to his little workshop where he and his brother were in the process of building their next, what would you call it? Not a trap, performance piece, a large water tank as Eric is a performer, an escape artist of sort. They had a little conversation about the letter. There was some excitement as the letter seemed to detail a specific task that the order has requested Eric to complete to confirm that he is actually willing to work with them, to gain acceptance from them. That task was to find a specific flower called the Lycani lily. This flower was known to be within the Pericles or the Percellus Botanical Gardens, which was in the Old Boroughs, a very large, beautiful place. He made his way first to a library to try to get more information on this lily, a library in the Old Boroughs. The librarian there was generically helpful, able to send him over to a few books that seemed to give him more answers on the type of flower this was. It seems the flower did have some kind of herbalist use in the past, and there were legends that surrounded it that it might be able to cleanse water, which is perfect because the task was to use this flower to actually help quell the cholera spreading in the Western slums. As he was preparing to leave, the librarian handed him another book, a book that had some Hawaiian stylized kind of artwork on the front. When he opened the book, the pages began to move as if they were water, and after a time he found himself standing in a room of darkness, a single spotlight on him, and eventually that spotlight faded, the book faded to water, and he found himself trapped inside a water tank, unable to break free. And just as his breath was beginning to leave, he found himself standing outside the library. Looking back, the librarian that had helped him no longer there, instead an older woman. But unfazed or a bit paranoid, he decided to take the information he had and headed over to the botanical gardens. With a bit of flash and using some of his skills, he was able to fairly easily steal one of the flowers. Instead of exiting from the front, he did make his way up and over the wall. As he was leaving, he noticed that the workers of the gardens were acting strangely. All of them kind of shorter, all wearing various overalls, different tools, but they all had their nose straight in the air, and they seemed to be breathing in rhythm all at the same time. He had a decision to make to keep going along the wall or to jump off the wall to not be spotted, and he decided to jump off, unfortunately taking a pretty hard fall and breaking his leg. He was able to scrounge a few items to be able to put it in a quick splint and began to make his way to the pit, where he encountered Mike's donkey and cart, still a few miles away. He saw that the cart was dragging, the donkey seemed to be moving slow, and being a kind heart, he decided to help this poor creature. Unfortunately, in doing so, he found that, well, he was further away from the pit than he had probably hoped to be. So I think that's just about everything that had happened. Did I miss anything, everybody? Because I probably did. Anything important?
Nothing on my end.
I think there was something about biscuits that you missed.
Frederic was sent out for tea and biscuits. I did cover that.
Very important detail.
Yeah. He does have a secret door in the back of the shed that leads to his horse that Mike apparently had not seen, as he had kind of built this place. So that was kind of a surprise for him. Anything from Blanche's perspective that was missed?
No, we're good.
Okay. So as we kind of fade in today, again, the clouds are hanging a bit low. The rain has ceased, but the ground is still a little bit wet. And we start off with Eric Wessler standing in a field, a bit of torn bandages and sticks on his leg as he begins to hobble, still miles away from the pit. Describe what you look like again for us, Eric.
Wiry kind of guy, about 5'9", black hair, kind of well-dressed suit, although it's seen better days now based on all the falls and stuff that I've taken. Maybe it's a little bit wet now, too, because the book tried to kill me. He's got a makeshift splint around his leg. He's hobbling along. and hoping that he doesn't pass out before he gets to the pit.
So as you start kind of standing there, seeing the donkey in the cart make its way, it seems to be heading towards the East Slums. You still see that you have probably about another 1.5 miles, 2 miles. You can see the smoke rising from the pit, but you don't really see the gate that surrounds it. But you start to make your way there. There's something that kind of catches your attention. Back behind you, you feel almost a thump, as if something heavy falls back behind you. And as you turn to look, you can see the wall of the botanical gardens. And there appears to be something, a creature, something down on all fours that is sniffing around on the ground. But it's still, it's far enough away that you can't really tell size or anything like that. You can just tell it's a creature. It's moving like an animal that appears to have its head to the ground and kind of sniffing around trying to find a scent.
Yeah, I'm going to have to double time it as much as I can
Okay.
to get where I'm going.
So you begin kind of moving, sucking your pain in, trying to just focus on putting as much pressure on your sturdy leg as the other, and trying to lean on the bit of stick that's kind of in your inner thigh, so that's where most of the strength is going. You can hear the wood begin to kind of creak a little bit, but you're making your way forward. Every once in a while, you keep checking back, and you notice that the creature, it does begin to move, but it's moving slowly. It is deliberately following a trail. Its nose will occasionally, or its head seems to come up and almost sniff the air and then go back down like a bloodhound, just following this trail. Right now, again, it's just a dot at the distance, but it stands out as the plains you're in. It's just a lot of kind of brown, not very fertilized, kind of just open plains where the smoke and the pollution from the pit has just kind of killed all the greenery. But you can just see something back there, and you begin making your way towards the pit faster and faster. It does seem that this creature is, again, heading in your direction, but it doesn't seem to be moving very quickly. Do you try to go at a full sprint, or do you just go as quickly as your body allows?
I have already pushed myself a little too hard today, so I'm going to go as fast as I can allow myself.
Okay.
It seems to be following me by scent, though, right?
It does. It keeps its nose down, again, just like a bloodhound, that it's just following this scent. You do see its head look up and appear to look around, but it doesn't seem to ever set a gaze on you.
Okay. Yep, I'm going to hustle.
Okay.
As much as I can.
So I'm going to have you take a risk to see how quickly you're going to be able to get to the pit. So we'll just get an idea here. I'm actually going to drag us over to a new place. So I've made a full map thing to give us a better idea and kind of tossed our tokens on there. If you can just do me a quick favor, can you see if you can move your token around there, Eric?
Yep, sure can.
Perfect. So at this point, I would guess that you're probably, right kind of in the middle, probably right in this area right here. So you still have, again, about a mile and a half. You can see the smoke rising, but you can't quite see the fence that goes around it. You can't really see any of the buildings that are around it itself. So we're going to take a risk to see how quickly you're going to be able to cover that space. What kind of tags do you feel are going to be able to help you push past the pain, or maybe even using some of your performance to be light on your feet, or whatever it might be that's going to help give you an advantage as you cross these plains?
I think that probably Escape Artist fits, because generally speaking, sometimes you have to harm yourself in order to, if things start going badly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking Escape Artist probably goes, let's see. Driven to know what's going on, driven to know who's pulling the strings here, because again, I need to get there. That's my whole purpose right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's That's about it.
Okay.
Unless I can also try to weave the path that I'm taking through some particularly nasty smelling heaps of garbage. I mean, we're near the garbage area, so I don't know if there's anything that might have fallen off the cart or whatever, but just to try to shake the smell a little bit.
Um, if that's the case, then that might actually be a change the game. So what we could say here is you're kind of trying to survey the scene. This is maybe before you're sprinting. We see Eric take a moment, kind of recognize, okay, it looks like whatever that is, it's following by scent. So you're going to survey the landscape and see what kind of cover or distraction or whatever there is around here. And maybe we can create some story tags to give you an advantage on the actual running move. So then
Okay.
for changing the game, yeah, it's basically looking around to try to create an advantage for you. If you have anything, again, using your performance to understand that's a perfect place to hide, or if you were going to do a show in this general area, kind of what you would use to distract, we can use those tags as well.
I would say probably in that case, stealth and the art of deception would be the two that I'm
Perfect.
thinking of.
Perfect. So yeah, let's
And
go ahead
then,
and
and then still the drive.
yeah, yeah. So then let's change the game. I don't think there would be any of your statuses that work against this. Well, You know what? The paranoid might.
Okay.
Um, the reason I'm thinking is that you're kind of paranoid, so you're almost over searching, maybe
Right.
looking past things that might work, because you just don't think they will. So if you want to put the minus on that,
Yep.
and then do change the game.
Yep. Let me see what we've got here. I'm resetting because things were looking weird.
Mhm.
So paranoid, stealth, art of deception, and driven to no. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and make that roll. Let's see what happens.
Okay, perfect. So you still get a power of 2. And so with that, you can create story tags, burn a tag, or story tag. So in this case, yeah, we have a couple things we can do. So a story tag itself could be finding, a large pile of garbage. That could be a story tag. Or we could say that this is going to be a status of, maybe you're covering yourself in garbage to change your scent. So now you're actually giving a status to whatever's following you as a distracted or tricked or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Okay.
Go with that.
So yeah, you basically kind of look around to you see some piles of, things that have fallen off the carts that are making their way to the pit. A bit of old, just nasty water, a bit of mud, all of that.
Ugh.
You kind of grab it. How much are you covering yourself? Are you like just hitting the pits and like running it down your leg, or are you like full on covering?
I'm not going full on. I'm actually a little bit more on the sleeve. It might be me that they're tracking, but I kind of feel like it might be the flower. So it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be mainly around the sleeve that I have that tucked up into. Um, and yeah, other than that, also just dragging my shoes through bottom of my pants in case anything like that drags along.
Okay. Perfect. So I would say go ahead and take another one of the status cards. So this will be a tier 2. And we can just say, how do we want to word this? Trash scent secondary. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Trash diversion, something, I don't know.
Apparently, I got some slacker coworkers that I need to talking to.
Right? Yeah. So we'll say it's a tier 2. Because I feel like this is a mixture of a positive and a negative status. Positive in this case because it's hiding your scent. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe just a garbage smell.
Okay.
It kind of works for this. So you
Yep.
spend some time to coat yourself, or not coat yourself, but cover yourself with a bit of this nasty water, a bit of mud, specifically covering your your sleeve. You look back, and again, maybe at this point, the creature's covered maybe 15 feet. Like it seems to be moving slow, deliberate, but still making its way in your direction. So now you plan to take off. Let's go ahead and take that risk to basically still push yourself to get to the pit, kind of get inside. But with this status, you can actually apply it on top of your power tags as kind of, again, this garbage smell will distract or confuse whatever is following you.
Okay. Am I at a penalty because of the broken leg or the paranoia? Or
I would say, yeah, the probably, well, I think they counteract each other, to be honest.
Okay.
Because they do slow you down, but the splint also might help you. So I'm not going to use it necessarily on this one.
Okay. So we're adding the story tag,
The garbage smell. So this would actually be a status that you have on
Status.
yourself. So it would be
Right.
you would be a +2 on top of any of the power tags you're using to get there.
Okay. All right. So this one is going to be stealth, and I would say what do we think? I'm just trying to get by now, right? So yeah, stealth and elaborate planner. There was a bit of thought that went into that.
Mhm.
And and the drive. Also, though, I think I'd like to use the weakness tag of hostile crowd.
So I was going to say unfamiliar restraints.
Okay.
Because in a way, you are trying to escape right now, and you have a literal restraint on your leg.
Okay.
But I'm willing to discuss it further if. I guess for hostile crowd, what is the crowd?
Well, it's the thing that's following me. It's definitely not a fan of me. So I just assumed that the fact that it was trying to see through the ruse that I was putting up.
Okay. I can say, yeah, I can see either one, so I'll let you choose which one for there.
Okay. I'm good with unfamiliar restraints. That's
Okay.
fine by me.
Perfect. So we'll add that, and this is take the risk.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap.
With a bit of grace, you make your way quite quickly to the point that the creature just fades smaller and smaller and smaller as you just make distance away from there. Eventually, you can see the front side of the pit. Back behind, there's a large pile of refuse on fire, smoke pouring out. You can see there's a few buildings kind of off to the left of the front gate, and then back the gate kind of follows around, but you can see a few other buildings kind of in the far back as well. But as you're kind of approaching the pit, we actually find ourselves back inside the headquarters, where Blanche and Mike had just kind of finished your conversation. I believe you guys were planning to head out. Is that correct?
Yeah. I don't remember where we were going though. Oh, we had to go talk to the inspector. Right. To the chief inspector, whatever her title was.
Talia Justice.
Yeah. We were supposed to go talk to her, but we did just send what's his face out to
Frederic.
get tea and biscuits.
Indeed. I mean, Mike, you've just had this strange worker woman come in and kind of tell you about how you did your job
Crazy
run.
riot act.
So what's going on in Mike's mind at the moment? You've been sitting there drinking the leftover gunshot rum. You're probably
Sipping
feeling a bit
on.
warm. Yeah. Feeling good. What's going on in your mind?
Just relaxing after a hard day's work.
Yeah.
Not really worried about anything.
Um,
Just sipping.
do you plan on going with her if she leaves?
No.
Mm-hmm. All right. And Blanche, do you plan on staying until Frederic comes back?
Yeah, I probably should for appearance's sake.
Okay. So I mean, the room begins to kind of fall silent. The light crackling of the wood, every once in a while it'll pop real loud, and both of you will kind of jump and look at it. Every
Smells
once
nice,
in a
though.
while, you'll hear kind of movement outside. Peek through the door and see one of the other workers there, bringing their cart in, beginning to unload it. Yeah, do you guys talk
Bob's
about?
working late.
Blanche is mostly pacing and looking annoyed,
Mm-hmm.
and occasionally stopping to read Mike the Riot Act again about all of the dumb decisions that he's managed to make over the past couple days. And then going back to pacing.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure a way out of the mess that they've created.
And so, Eric, as you begin to get closer to the gate, you can hear riding, the sounds of horse galloping coming up behind you. You kind of turn to see who it is, and they actually stop a bit short. They turn off, and they don't actually go through the front gate. They curve and begin to go around towards what appears to be side entrance or something towards the back. It appears to be a younger male. Kind of has an Italian look to him, dark hair, slim, and he's riding pretty quickly to what seems to again be a side gate. But you have kind of reached the front of the gate itself. Again, you see a few buildings off to your left-hand side. There appears to be a single horse kind of tied out front. You see the large garbage pile at this point. You might actually see a few additional donkeys and carts that have been tied off for the night. And then there's the buildings in the far back that appear to be kind of warehouse or storage kind of buildings.
Okay. Well, it's a secret society, so I'm thinking going in the front door doesn't make any sense. So I'll try to go around the side where I heard the other dude go in.
Okay. You begin to make your way around the gate, and eventually you can see kind of off in the distance, maybe about 50, 60 yards, there is a small kind of door that you can see the boy just now walking his horse kind of through the gate. It's kind of a tight squeeze for it to get back there. After a bit, you hear the gate kind of close, the fence kind of rattles a little bit, and as you kind of get right to the door, you can see him beginning to lead his horse back behind one of these buildings, and begins to kind of put it back. It almost looks like he's putting it inside the wall, but he kind of walks it around the far end, and you see the horse kind of disappear back there. But for a moment, you kind of see him just right at the edge, helping the horse kind of get to wherever it's going. You go for the gate, and it feels like it's unlocked.
Sure. Yep. I will just try to go in and then close it behind me.
As you close it, the boy kind of stops and looks at you and gives you kind of a glare. Who are you, and why are you back here?
I'm looking for someone.
You're looking for someone. Well, that's for the front office. You have no reason to be back here. You do not work for the pit, do you?
Not exactly. I may have had an application in for a job. I say this as I'm wearing a suit.
He kind of looks at you, begins to approach. Blanche and Mike, you can kind of hear muffled conversation coming from back behind the shed. But he walks to you and he kind of looks. An application, you say. What is your name?
Eric.
I'm gonna head out towards the towards the talking.
Eric. And you have an application. Well, who gave you this application?
That was actually something that I meant to say last week, and I just never quite got around to it. As I was kind of walking, because I had to do a lot of walking,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to try to rack my brain to see if I could think when I saw, like, when somebody could have dropped that letter off in my notebook.
So, I would say that's probably an investigate.
All right.
So we kind of fade as you begin reminiscing about the letter. The screen kind of fades to white, and we come back in kind of the day prior as we answer some questions. So as you ponder about your previous day's events, let's investigate.
So this one's going to go with perceptive. Also, I forgot to ask, do I put attention on the unfamiliar restraints?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. So we've got acutely perceptive, driven to know who's pulling the strings,
Mm-hmm.
and I would think, and tell me if this doesn't sound right, but I would think that stealth might apply because it's not even just being sneaky myself, but also realizing how to be sneaky and where that
Mm-hmm.
might come in.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Cool. And, I will go ahead and investigate. All right. Sweet.
I haven't seen it yet. There it is. Okay. So you have 3 questions then. Yeah, what are your questions about this letter?
The first was when it could have been dropped off. At what point, would that have happened?
Okay.
Most likely.
What all did you do yesterday?
Yesterday was a fairly simple day. I was down in the shop, walking sister to school. Probably took lunch outside at some point, maybe. If it was a decent enough day.
Mm-hmm. And do you carry this on your person all the time, or is this just something you carry during kind of work?
I carry it with me all the time because you never know when inspiration will strike.
So you begin to rack your mind, and you kind of go through your morning routine. You can't recall anything particular. You go back into the workshop. You remember having a conversation with Martin. Again, you focus on that notebook, and you don't see anything, and you eventually kind of fades to day, and you're back at home, and you remember that there was a point where you had your notebook kind of sitting on the table that's up against that window, and you kind of keep the window open during the muggier months because it's a bit too humid, kind of where you live, and your mother had asked for your help, with something for dinner to help get something out of a cabinet, and you remember getting up and coming back, and your notebook seemed to have moved, but it didn't seem like anything at the point, so you may have thought that maybe it was the wind that had shifted it. But yeah, I think you would kind of focus on that moment that your notebook kind of sat there next to the window up on whatever floor you're on, and seemed to have shifted a bit.
Okay. So I take it I didn't see anybody actually manipulate it in any way? Even just like an arm or like a hand with a ring or any kind of identifying feature?
No, it whatever it was, didn't seem to have any movement that would have drawn your attention. It would have been purposely hidden. In many ways, as you do tricks kind of while someone is distracted. Yeah, I mean, seeing that, would you... I guess describe what you would have done. Would you have looked through the window?
Yeah.
How would you? So looking down on the window, I assume that kind of goes down to the courtyard down
Hmm.
below. Okay. Let me
I probably
take.
would have been worried that it ripped a piece of like a page from the
Mhm.
notebook out if the wind had pulled on it. Just so.
Okay. Yeah. Give me 1 second here. Gotta pull up my notes. As you look down, again, it was about dinner time, so it's not unnatural for there to be, kids kind of hanging out, playing down in the courtyard. But there was one that seemed to stand out to you. He had darker skin than the rest, and it looks like his clothes were not of this not very familiar to you. Almost like a robe or some kind of tattered rags that ended in not necessarily pants, kind of a loose fabric. And it was kind of the way he moved. He was able to walk through a group of kids, without touching any of them. Very much kind of imagine Assassin's Creed, where you're just flowing through the crowd with anyone seeming to notice him at all. And you kind of watched him for a moment before he just disappeared behind a corner and went about his day. And again, you might have just thought it was just another kid. It's not unusual to see kids out there, but again, racking your mind, it's starting to play out a bit more.
Okay. Well, then I should rephrase. It's less that I put in a job application, but more I was delivered a message that said perhaps there might be some work for me here. And then I kind of described the kid a little bit.
Frederick kind of looks very confused. He kind of looks at you. Anyone that is expected to come here, I normally receive their files beforehand. I can't say I've received anything for you, however. And as he's kind of trailing off that sentence, Mike, that's when you walk around the corner. You can see a younger man standing there, covered in mud and garbage goo. And he has a couple sticks with some torn bandages wrapped around his leg, standing there having a conversation with Frederic.
I'll just come up and put my arm around him and start walking away with him.
With who?
With you.
Oh, okay.
So, a very large, round, stinky man approaches you from behind, Eric, puts his arm around you, and begins to try to lead you away from the back of the shed.
And who might you be?
You're just gonna have to come over here. You can I lean in to say that so you can smell the alcohol on my breath.
Wonderful. Well, if it's all the same, I think I might pass on that until I know if this is even the right spot.
Frederic kind of peeps up. Senor Mike, yeah, I do not know anything about this man. I'm not sure we should trust him. Perhaps you could lead him out of the front gate to send him on his way. I have the tea and biscuits for our guest inside. I'll go and get that prepared if you can handle this.
Oh, he's with you, is he? I'd say to the guy who was giving me the third degree. At this point, I think I just pull out the letter. I think it had a seal on it, if I remember right.
Had a wax seal in the front.
Yeah.
See, Frederic, you worry too much. I start pulling him towards the shed.
Frederic kind of he looks at you holding the letter. He sees the emblem, and again, there's definitely a face of confusion, but he watches you go inside. He makes his way back towards his horse. You hear him kind of go through some saddlebags, and then as you guys get to the front door inside Blanche, you hear the back wall kind of shudder, and then door that Frederic had opened before kind of opens. He walks in quickly and shuts it. And he kind of looks to you. I guess you're not the only new guest here today. I believe they might be coming in soon. You might not want to stand in front of the door. Too many broken noses and stubbed toes on that door.
Blanche would get away from the door.
Frederic kind of
Like,
goes over and sets.
Table and
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
she's gonna make her way over to the table and kind of sit like on the edge of the chair, like she's trying to touch as little of the stuff in here as possible.
You see Frederic go over and he grabs kind of the little hanging iron rod above, and he just takes the pot. And it's not quite clear where he might have got the water to put in the teapot, but there's water in there. And he takes it, he hangs it over the fireplace, and begins to heat it up. He's brings over the tin of biscuits and kind of opens it and shows it. I'm not sure which kind you want, so I kind of got a variety. I hope it's okay for you. The tea should be done here in a couple minutes. I need to look through my files. Kind of sets it down in front of you and goes to his chair and begins ruffling kind of pretty quickly through his paperwork, trying to just look for anything about who this person might be. And just then, Mike, that's when you kind of get to the front. You open the door. You can see Blanche sitting there. A teapot is hanging, kind of swinging. And Eric, you get your first view of a place. It looks like a storage shed from the outside. Inside, there's a large table, kind of a wooden table. There are a variety of different kind of mugs, glasses, flasks, drinking elements on the table. A variety of kind of different ales, rums, alcoholic beverages here as well. There is random knickknacks and items that are kind of stacked up on shelves in the back. Nothing seems to stand out. It just looks like something that a hoarder that happens to be a garbage man might collect.
It looks like a treasure room, okay? It's glorious. There's stuff everywhere.
That is exactly
Everything
what
has
I was
value.
gonna say.
But what you notice, particularly because you kind of doused yourself in it and now you're standing by the pit, the smell from inside the room is appealing. The wood that they appear to burn in the fireplace seems to deafen the very strong scents from outside, so it almost feels inviting.
It smells wonderful. It's like a cool breeze hitting you in the face.
It's like Christmas morning.
There's a hint of trash behind it.
Just a hint.
Just vague, yeah. So which is why you drink while you're
It's more like
here.
a slap in the face.
But that's why you drink, so all those senses fade as well.
Yay.
I'll lead him over to a seat next to Blanche and set him down.
Yeah, so Eric, you notice that the younger man, is over kind of in the corner. There's a chair that's tucked over there. There's a stack of notebooks, leather-bound books, paperwork, just spare notes all over the place. And you see him kind of grab a pad. He kind of comes over to the table and he just looks at you dead in the eye. You can tell he's trying to be tough, but he's just not. He's trying to furrow his eyebrow, but he just looks confused. He just looks at you. Okay, your name. You said Eric. Eric what? Where do you come from? What is your name? Why are you here? You have that letter. Where did you get that letter from? Who gave you that letter?
Well, as I told you outside, it was, he was very good at what he does. But it appeared to be a child, and I described the child briefly. Dark-skinned, I believe, robe-ish attire. Had a way of moving that was a bit, shall we say, unnatural. Here, just look at this yourself. I take the letter out of the envelope that it was sealed in, or unseal it, or whatever, unfold it, however it goes, and hand it over.
Was he in the files that I was given on who I was supposed to be working with?
Nope. No.
Oh, great.
But Mike, as he's describing the boy, he doesn't mean anything to Frederic, but it would be something that you recognize from your awakening. Kind of the same description, a younger boy, darker skin, kind of, again, robe-like, tattered wear, seemed to move unnaturally through crowds and kind of on his own. But Frederic just kind of stands there. I must write a letter. He kind of goes over to his chair and begins to write his own letter. Both of you can see it's a nice letter. It seems to have the same handwriting as the letters that you have received, but it states a specific task that this Eric Wessler is to achieve, a task to retrieve a specific flower called the Lycani lily. They do note that they have one at the, let me pull up the name again. It is the Pericles Botanical Gardens, and that they want to use that flower to cleanse the disease that is spreading in the West Slums. It doesn't give much more specific information beyond that, but it does kind of invoke a sense of do this and you'll be welcomed.
So you were supposed to bring us a lily. I don't see a flower on you.
And with a quick snap of the wrist or whatever, he produces the lily in his hand and here you are, ma'am.
So it's a fairly large flower, white lily. There's kind of a golden ring around the center, and in the very center of it, there's this curved or kind of this horn-like shape that grows from the center. So the fact he was even able to keep it in his sleeve and pull it out, and it still looks as beautiful. It kind of unfurls as he pulls it out, kind of grows in size, and the sweet scent kind of drifts off of it. That, again, it has kind of a salty, sweet smell to it. It doesn't smell like any flower you've ever smelled before, Blanche.
To be clear, I was trying to produce it magically like I would do in one of my acts.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yep.
it just appears and kind of unfurls, growing larger than something it seems that he could have had in his hand.
Giggity.
Charming. She'll take it. And the letter doesn't say anything about what we're meant to do with this. Frederic, have you gotten any information about us expecting a flower delivery?
His forehead is filling kind of with sweat. Like he's kind of panicking that he's missed something, that he didn't pick up a letter, a notice, anything like that. He just looks up. I swear, I wasn't even expecting you here. I don't know who this person is, but that letter, it seems legitimate. I don't know.
It does seem genuine. It looks an awful lot like mine. Take a breath, Frederic.
Of course. And just then you hear the bubbling of the tea, and he kind of drops his letter real quick and goes over there. Hot. Goes and grabs a cup and kind of takes some of the loose tea leaves, places them in kind of the calendar type deal, and begins to pour the hot water over it. Do you need sugar? Anything in your tea?
Sugar would be lovely.
Of course. And goes up above the fireplace again, ruffles through a variety of boxes and little cabinets he has up there, and kind of grabs one. He goes in there, and it's wrapped. He kind of takes a moment to unwrap everything, and takes a couple cubes out, places them in a small tray, and kind of slides them over to allow you to place as many as you wish, and then makes his way back over to his little corner desk and continues to write.
I should say that the caretakers at the Botanical Gardens didn't seem especially pleased that I had taken this. Something was trying to follow me, but I believe I lost it.
I suspect they wouldn't be thrilled. But what do you mean, something was following you?
I could barely make it out. It was sometimes on four legs like a dog, but sometimes not. It was a little too far to make out details.
I see. Well, what happened to your leg?
It was all part of the escape, if you will. I took a bit of a tumble.
You hurt yourself that badly escaping.
Well, the walls are not exactly small.
Right, of course. Did they tell you what they wanted this flower for? Or have you pieced that together?
Well, the letter said that this was to be used to cure the outbreak in the West Slums, was it?
There's the
I don't remember.
full letter.
Okay.
So it said, Eric, have you ever wanted to be something more than yourself, a brighter light in a dark, cold world, a spear in the side of chaos? We have seen that your eyes have now been opened to the many possibilities of the world, and your soul seems clear. We are the slayers of the beasts of the night, the knights that protect those that cannot see, the saviors of the city, and we wish for you to join our ranks. As a member of our hunters, you will join a group of like-minded individuals tasked with the kill, capture, or control of the many tasks we have available. But first, we must know if you're truly up to the task. An outbreak has begun, but only a few days ago. Many in the West Slums have fallen ill with a cholera-like disease. Our research has determined that the water source has been tainted and must be cleansed. We have seen your skills, your performances, your abilities, but can they be put to good use? You must fetch a plant, a specific plant, the Lycani lily, from the Periculus Botanical Gardens. They will not be willing to give this plant. However, if used to cleanse the source of this taint, the water should return clear and begin to help those with this sickness. We will be watching with high hopes. If necessary, you may reach to the current group, or you may reach out to the current Reaper soldiers. They are based in the pit and may be able to assist you if they are not currently on task. Bring the light to the dark, the calm to the chaos, and fear to those that wish to frighten.
Oh, well, that's not pretentious at all, is it?
I just assumed that was how you operated down here.
Yes, we're very pretentious and we operate out of a garbage pit.
That's a brilliant secret location. No one would think to look.
And yet you found us. Alright. Well, we're not going to be able to take you much of anywhere with your leg like that now, are we?
Mike's
Well,
gonna
it's
slide a first aid kit across the table towards her.
Well, I suppose I could attempt to have a look.
I
Passing out from pain when we leave, now can I?
I've had worse.
I'm
But-
sure.
Please, if there is anything you can do, I would be much obliged.
Is Frederick busy with his paperwork?
He seems to be, just writing. Yeah. But
Don't look at me for drugs.
He's kind
look
of
at the little dude.
Again, Frederic, he's always listening.
I probably caught a glance for that.
Is he on the opposite side of the table from where Eric and I are sitting?
Frederic's kind of off in the corner, back behind
I'm
you.
opposite you guys.
Yeah, so just the three of you at the table. He's sitting off kind of on his own in the corner of the room.
Okay, but is he on our side of the room or Mike's side? This is
He would be back behind you.
okay. Blanche is going to stand up and move her seat close enough so that Eric can prop his hurt leg up into it.
Okay.
On it, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And kind of, first she's going to remove the splint and such and try and kind of have a look at how bad it is.
Okay.
I roll up my pant leg or whatever. I'm not.
You can definitely see some bruising kind of on his lower leg, kind of around his calf towards the front of it. It doesn't appear to be misshapen, but you can definitely tell, like, the front of his shin has this dark purple blue kind of bruise that's beginning to grow.
All right. Well, I mean, women are usually the ones who are left to take care of people when they're sick and hurt, unless it's, you go to a hospital. It's the only other option. So would she be able to tell that it's probably much worse than it looks?
How about you investigate and we'll find out.
Oh, goody!
Let's see what kind of skills that Blanche has to know her.
I can't wait to get gangrene.
I'm just investigating. I'm not doing anything yet.
Well, at least she didn't like poke the wound.
True. Is this supposed to be
There are members
squishy?
of this group that would have done that.
There are members of this group that would probably be cutting his leg off right now.
Jesus Christ.
Fair point.
Mike,
All right, so
Mike grabs a hacksaw.
I'm going with woman of her time.
Mm-hmm.
Blood is thicker because she's probably had to take care of her brother when he did something stupid.
He seems to be a drunkard, and there are stairs in your house, so.
And because she's taking her time and she's not jumping into just trying to wave her hands at it to fix it, I'm going with patience and cunning.
Sure.
Okay. Investigate.
Okay.
Success.
It doesn't appear to be worse than it appears. In fact, it actually seems to be not even that bad right now. It's only a tier 1 injury. So it's still a broken bone, but broken more like there's probably a hairline fracture in it. It's not a full break. But you have other questions you can ask as you investigate his leg, if you feel like there are any.
How likely is it that it'll get worse if he has to walk around on it and whatnot?
If it is properly splinted or cast, it probably won't experience any additional damage just from walking. Again, even running, but definitely any forceful impacts to that area could cause the hairline fracture to spread.
Lovely. And this guy apparently jumps off walls,
Uh-huh.
so what are the
Only when he
chances?
has to.
What are
And
the
as you're
chances
doing
that
this,
won't be happening?
As you're doing this, like there's a very thick smell coming off of his legs. Like it's just coated in wet, nasty goo and mud and just icky stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you just being around it, like it's just icky. It's just bad.
It's an unpleasant experience.
Very much, yeah.
To say the least.
Douse a handkerchief in perfume and it's still not going to do anything.
Okay. I get 3 questions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Last question. Is this something I think I could fix with my abilities?
Luckily, you're in the headquarters of the Order, no matter how it looks. So I would say you could probably get, probably not a full cast, but a proper stint, to solidify his leg, to get it to a point like you're going to be using whatever they would use then, like actual solid pieces of shaved kind of smooth wood, full bandages that you can actually kind of harden, almost like casting material. But yeah, I mean,
So
even
that's stuff we'd actually have here.
yeah, I think again because it is the Order. And what are they doing out there? About to jump out my own window.
Are they playing with chainsaws? Are they chainsaw juggling?
No, those are the douchebag farmers that just like to rev their vehicles because it makes them feel cool.
Mm.
I got loud, noisy vehicles, so yay me. Yeah, no, because it is a headquarters for part of the Order. I think they would keep decently stocked on the medical aid that they have here. Very much like an army tent, I think. The kind of medical supplies you would have for field medics, they would probably have here. So it's not going to
Okay.
be a full cast, but it's enough to get the soldier back into the action.
All right. Well, then that is what she will do.
Okay.
She
Perfect.
will give him a splint, a proper splint.
So what I'll have you do is change the game to see basically how high of a tier we'll have the splint here. Because you gain this information, I'm actually going to give you a +1 advantage just using the information you have, on top of any other power tags you want to use to spend on
I was
this.
thinking I'd use the same tags.
Okay, perfect.
Still apply, and then I get a +1. You said.
Correct. Yep. I'll give you a +1 for the information you got there. Perfect. So we're gonna change out, Eric, your tier 1 makeshift splint to a tier 4. Let's see, is there an actual name for?
I have no idea.
Let's see. Let's see.
I'm not the one playing the doctor. Our doctor isn't here.
Let's see. Actually, I think maybe it is even like a temporary cast. You know, it's not like a full heal, but it's solid enough that we could probably consider it to be a temporary cast. So that will just go as an additional status on top, or basically replacing your makeshift splint. So as she's kind of done with that around your lower leg, so probably right up underneath your knee, so you don't have full range of motion with your knee, but you still have some. You have pretty much a boot. You might have to carry your shoe in your back pocket for a bit, but for now it's feeling a bit more secure than it was as you made your way here.
Thank you so much for the assistance there.
Of course. Well, you're here just in time. I was going to be heading out after having my tea.
Oh,
Come with me and perhaps we could get some explanations from someone higher up in the order.
that seems more than reasonable. Apparently,
Should
I
so,
am unexpected.
to say the very least. So, she'll finish her tea because she's never one to be rude.
Mm-hmm.
And look at Mike. Are you coming?
Do you want me to get arrested?
I think we could handle that.
Okay. I'll down the rest of the drink. It's just like an eighth of a glass.
Yeah, but you drank the whole bottle, or at least what was left, and because he had just uncorked it, that's a decent amount of alcohol you just consumed.
Not the bottle, my glass.
Okay.
I've only poured like a quarter of a glass.
The way it sounded to me is you were down in the bottle, but I was gonna say that's gonna be you're gonna be talking to spirits soon enough.
I just an eighth of a glass is all I drank.
All right, no
now.
worries. So yeah, you guys, you down your glass. It is a bit of a ways to even get to a part of the city where you can get the train. So what's the method of transportation?
Well, first, Frederick, do you mind if we use your door?
He looks up. It's not my door. This is your. Please, use what you need. Are you all going somewhere?
Yes, we're going to go see Miss Justice and get some answers.
Oh,
and hopefully clean up this mess, and she'll look at me.
I see. All right. Travel safe. Mr. Senor Wrestler, I will try to get this mess cleared up for you. I have never seen a letter like that. It seems strange. Normally there's a specific task for the group, but I have heard of potential hunters being sent out on task before they're fully accepted, so I just, well, I promise I will do what I can to get this cleared up. You all travel safe.
Don't even worry about it.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll get this cleared up soon enough.
Bring the flower and the letter. You hide them. You can hide them better than I can, clearly.
I will do so. I kind of.
Go ahead.
Oh no! I just sort of just kind of pick them up, and I'm just carrying them for now. Yeah, go on.
So we're gonna go out the little back door that Frederick was using.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as it's closed behind us, and I'm sure he can't see us, I'm going to look at Mike. All right. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to transform Mike.
Okay. What are you attempting to transform him into?
Kind of a Joe Schmo worker. I thought about making him another woman, but that would be awkward to explain to Talia, so...
So another blue collar worker. How old?
Yes. Probably the equivalent of his current age. I just want to make him look different enough that if the police see him, he won't be recognized.
And what part of Mike is going to remain the same?
Hair color, same as mine.
Okay. Which
My old
is,
fallback.
let's see, for Mike, you are brown hair. So you're going to have the brown hair. All right, well, let's change the game as you place your hands on Mike, and yeah, I guess for the moment it just looks like she's just touching the big bearded man. Let's see what Eric sees here.
All right. I'm going with impeccable appearance.
Okay.
Cast magic spells in a shape for all occasions.
All right.
And what she will do is reach into like a pocket of her dress and pull out a handful of herbs, kind of like what Mike saw her do in the alleyway that one time. And she'll rub them between her hands and kind of mutter and whisper the strange language under her breath. And then she'll bring her hands up and kind of rest them on either side of his face. Close her eyes as she's still muttering, and then hopefully he'll change.
All right.
Great success.
Perfect.
Sweet.
So, Mr. Mike, go ahead and take a tier 3 status of disguised.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Well, you probably don't even notice much. You if anything, like the bangs, the loose hair you had in front of your head seems to kind of shorten and disappear. And
she got rid of the beard.
Yeah, your face is a bit colder, and looking down, you can actually see your toes for the first time in a long time.
I don't like it.
And
You're this tall, brown-haired beanpole.
so
kind of stagger a little bit. It's like clearly I've had too much to do.
yeah, it in a moment you blink, Eric, and the man that was standing in front of you is no longer the man standing in front of you. Blanche kind of removes her hand away and looks satisfied.
That's better.
That was impressive.
We all have
That
our
was very
tricks.
impressive. I did want to say, I didn't want to cut in before, but as we were kind of walking, I was probably taking up the rear to leave, and I would try to hide away the letter and the lilac or lily without anybody seeing, just sort of doing it.
Yeah,
Just
I
out
mean
of habit.
that's just what you do. So no
Yeah,
problem at all.
it's a habitual thing.
You're flipping your folds, your pockets wherever you get them, but they are no longer being carried, and no one can really tell where they might be. As you kind of walk, like you feel the solid kind of thud as your right foot kind of falls down. You know, the boot on your foot feels a bit awkward, but it feels better than that long stick kind of joining you on the inner thigh. You know, just.
Right.
But yeah, you guys are kind of in the back gate. The horse that's back there is just kind of munching on hay. Kind of looks up as this transformation kind of occurs and kind of just snorts and goes back to eating a bit.
He is unimpressed.
By now, it's probably, you know, getting to be afternoonish time. Not super late in the day. Clouds still over. You know, it's probably about 60s, 70s. You know, a decent day. Kind of has the feeling that the skies might open in the rain, but that's almost every day here. So, yeah, you have the one horse that's right there. Frederick's horse is there. How do you guys plan to get downtown to meet with?
Isn't there a train?
Not
the
out
middle
to
of
the
the day.
pit.
Oh,
Okay.
this girl.
How
So
far to get to the train?
Trains.
so if you follow the main path, it'll take you up to kind of the industrial district and the harbor. You tell me, Mike, about how much time does it take you to get up there? Because the other, you could try to make your way to the old boroughs, which is where you go home. So I guess, Mike, you tell me, what's the travel time on average if you're just walking to get to the pit?
Why would we walk? I've got a donkey.
Your donkey's out
With a cart.
wandering somewhere.
I know. All I gotta do is whistle.
Depends on
Your
how
donkey
far it
would-
wandered
I
away.
don't think he's going to hear you.
No, the donkey never goes that far from the pit.
He
He
might have
knows
been
better.
spooked by someone.
Yeah, he leads them on a goose chase and then he circles back around. It's okay.
Okay. So is that what Mike does? He kind of
mean-
steps out to give a whistle?
Yeah. If I know we're gonna be needing to travel, that's what I would do. But walking wise, it'd probably take about 20 minutes. By donkey, it's only about 5 to get to.
Okay. Do you plan on like going outside of the side gate and calling him out there, going to the front gate, just trying to call him here in the very back?
Yeah, I'd step out, like, just outside the wall and just give a very specific whistle.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not one of those like ear piercing whistles. It's actually quite more of a low tone.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just, wait a minute or two while the donkey. Well, it'll probably take about 3 minutes for the donkey to show up because somebody.
So you head out the same gate that Eric had entered. I'm gonna have you actually roll a convince here to convince your donkey to come back.
Especially because you don't look like you.
Your lips are not the same. I'm not gonna make you actually use that status against it because I don't think it matters that much. I think you can still make a whistle sound like a whistle even if you're in somebody's body.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we'll see if he'll actually approach you.
Committed to the job and garbage collector, because
Yeah,
The
I mean you still
donkeys.
smell like you, so
yeah. I mean, it's familiar.
that's
from
not
the
something a
territory.
face change will fix. It's a permanent smell.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right, yeah, that sounds good. Okay,
We are on a roll tonight.
yeah, doing well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Blanche and Eric, you both hear kind of this low whistle go out, and after a couple minutes, hearing the loud kind of sound of the fire, you hear a donkey kind of braying off in the distance, just a hee-haw kind of sound. After a couple minutes passes, you hear the steady kind of thumping sound of the cart rolling over kind of the unflattened surface that is around the back of the gate. After a couple minutes, you have a chance to head over to the cart. The cart is very familiar to you, Eric. In fact, as you kind of walk out, you recognize this beast. Like, this is the same one. There's still caked dirt kind of stuck beneath the bottom part that was dragging. The cart's just covered in dark stains of all variety of dark, nasty colors. Still kind of dripping in parts of that vague liquid that comes from the bag. But you do have a donkey and a cart that is able to carry a decent amount of weight.
Oh. This is yours, then.
With very little effort, I'm going to raise the deck back up and lock it in place.
So the deck was actually already up, you noticed.
Oh, he did get it up?
He did get it up.
Okay.
You just notice there's a lot of dirt that's kind of packed into the corners that was dragging. But it's back up and seems to be locked in place just as you would have.
So I'm gonna get over to the cart and offer my hand to Blanche to help her up.
She will accept. Looks slightly annoyed that he got in the cart instead of helping her up first, but
Which is strange
I
because
said
again, like
next
this
to the cart.
late 30s kind of blue collar worker woman, still in her dress gear, kind of dirty, gives you like this dirty look. How dare you not offer me your back to step upon, sir?
I'm sorry.
It's not gonna bother me.
If anything,
I mean,
even
I
covered.
could throw her onto the deck and
True.
let her sit on the garbage instead of, the seat. Which is, odd. It's nice and worn, but it's not dirty anywhere.
Yeah.
Except for where the little kid was sitting.
She'll sit.
I mean, honestly, even though he's kind of still covered in mud and goo, I think Eric is the most well-dressed of the group at the moment. Because both of you just look like typical workers covered in your worker overalls and jumpsuits and whatever else you're wearing.
And then I'll help Eric up onto the deck.
Eric cautiously approaches the donkey, but then gets in, assuming it doesn't kick him in the head or anything.
Like you see it look back and give you a pretty strong like grunt, but it's following orders at the moment, so it doesn't seem to have a. In fact, I don't think it's necessarily anger, but just like, I know who you are. I recognize you, kind of a snort.
Right.
But yeah, you find a spot that's not actively dripping. The stains seem to be fairly dried, and hop up there. And Mike, do you walk beside it, or do you get up on the cart as well?
Yeah, I'm gonna get up onto the cart and drive it.
So as you guys begin to make your way toward around the side, I mean, you're moving faster than if you're all walking, especially with an injured crew member. But it's not super fast. It's not like a carriage. You make your way kind of towards the front of the gate when back behind you, as you begin making your way down the road, you start to hear hollering, "Excuse me! Yes, no, stop! Excuse me!" And you kind of turn around, and Lisa, in her full kind of long, dark black dress, is starting to try to chase you guys from behind. Please stop! Why are you taking one of our? Stop now! Just starting to.
Oops.
Blanche is going to sigh heavily.
After about like 80 yards, like you can see her slowing down. Please stop. Excuse.
Stop the cart, Mike.
Mike's just gonna keep going. She'll be fine.
She's going to report that this was stolen, and then
Yeah, who's gonna like get that message this time of night?
It's not night, it's the middle of the bloody day.
Still afternoon.
He just thinks it's
Are
night 'cause
you
he's been
sure
drinking.
you didn't drink the whole bottle?
Stop the cart and go tell her that you're filling in for Mike or something.
That's the thing. There's no filling in if she doesn't know who I am. Because
Then why
apparently there's
Did
some
you
mumbo
think that
jumbo
taking the
going on.
cart was a good idea?
It's my cart. Who cares?
Well, apparently she does.
Yeah,
As-
but
Your cart, from what I can see.
yeah, but I'm not supposed to be working today, so it's not a big
It's
deal.
Tuesday. As
I'm not
you're
paid.
having this conversation, she has her hands down, like she's breathing big, deep breaths, and you see another smaller figure kind of come to the side of her. She kind of looks up and just points, and this young boy begins running much faster than her towards the cart. Yeah, no, y'all need to stop the cart now. You're not. I'm gonna, like, you can tell he has pretty, he's running faster than the donkey's moving. You need to stop. You're taking something from, that's not yours. You can't be taking that. He's probably about 50 yards, still running.
If he's up next to the cart, I'm gonna kind of lean over and be like, Mike needs his cart. Like, go on.
30 yards. Mike needs his cart. But Mike is the one that dropped him off here with his cart. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to convince this poor boy, because if anything,
The
he
poor
thinks.
boy ain't gonna know nothing.
I think he thinks you're stealing Mike's cart, and Mike
Yeah.
is the one that brought you here. So
Yeah, we'll see how smart the
why
kid
would
is.
Mike leave his cart and then need someone else, a bunch of strangers, to take it to him? Yeah, yeah, what power tags are you using to convince this? Convince Nigel?
It would just be the garbage collector and committed to the job,
Okay.
just to kind of, I wish, would I be able to use the weakness tag of wet and smelly as a positive?
That's
Because
not
that
how
would
weakness
kinda
tags
convince him.
work.
I know that's
No,
Okay.
yeah, your disguised status is gonna be
is gonna be a negative, yeah.
gonna be negative here. But you have a couple other people that are here with you right now. So,
What other?
does anyone feel like they might be wanting to help your dear friend
Oh
here?
shit! Because it's a tier. Yeah, I need help.
I don't.
I'm
I
in a
mean,
-1.
actually, yes. I will give him one of my hurt points, my help points, not
So-
hurt points.
I'm actually, with those, they're actually kind of a form of juice. So I'm actually pulling up the book real quick because we haven't used them enough. And from what I've been reading, I'm
I
not
have-
100% sure we've been using them accurately. So I want to make sure
I
we
have
actually.
2 help and 2 hurt points. For
Okay, perfect. So let me pull up the book, get the actual rules here.
She pulls out a knife and stabs me. I mean,
Come on. All right, what chapter was this in? Not who are you? I know who you are. Well, actually, I don't right now. Neither does Nigel. Nigel has no idea who you are. Help and hurt. Here we go. A special type of juice points and function in a similar way. The method for help and hurt juice is based on your ongoing relationship. So represent your desire and ability to help your crewmate, whether by taking actions to help her or helping with actions she's taken. They can only be used to create effects that enhance actions you take for your crewmate's sake or enhance actions your crewmate takes in our cases, yada yada yada. So they would actually kind of, for each point you spend, you get to pick from kind of the change the game category. So those first 3 tags: create a story tag, burn a power tag or story tag, or give or reduce a status. So you're basically creating something that specifically helps your crewmate out in one way or another. So what would you be doing to kind of enhance his lie to give him a better...
Could I
Looking like a worker.
use my sorcery to plant a memory in his head of Mike leaving after I dropped him off?
Sure, yeah.
Leaving the cart behind?
Yeah, we can say that you're kind of using... Is it like a whisper on the wind, or are you doing, telepathy? How are you getting this implanted on his mind?
It's kind of a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Okay.
Like she's just gonna kind of whisper under her breath, and it's essentially like a subconscious nudge of his memories to kind of shift him around.
Okay.
As much as I really want to see this madness play out, you said that I had a help point last week. I hadn't met anybody yet, but I had a help point. So I would like to assist Mike in his role. I will raise up the foot that I have a cast on, and I'm like, Mike said it was okay. We're just trying to get me to a doctor.
Okay. So yeah, basically, as you kind of turn around to speak your lie, your fellow crewmates kind of, you go through with their actions. So we'll do a +2 on your roll as well. Go ahead and mark down your help points, or remove one of those, and then we'll give this convince. Is that what that is? No, that was a donkey. Yeah, we'll give this convince a thing. So it should...
Was it two points of help?
Correct. Yeah. So you should be your 2 power tags, your 2 points of help, and then your -3 disguise should leave you at a power of 1, I believe.
Yeah. And then convince.
Convince. That's correct. Okay.
Hey.
Thank you, guys.
So I think the status here would be like guilt if he makes you stop, because there's an injured man here, and he's just a kid, so I don't think he's gonna talk back. Like you see his pace kind of stop, and all right, yeah, you better get going then. When you see Mike, just let him know I'll be staying here the night. He'll know what I'm talking about. Be safe. He kind of turns around and starts kind of walking back towards the woman. She throws her hands up like a what the fuck kind of thing, and you travel along the way. Probably after...
Lean in to whisper to Mike, I'm afraid we might have gotten you into a fair bit more trouble when you get back to work. Sorry, was that English?
I don't think it was.
I'm gonna whip the donkey.
Speaking in tongues.
So you all begin to make your way kind of further away from the pit, and Eric, you're kind of sitting watching the scenery. Not a lot to see here. Just the dead, nasty plains, the forest kind of off in the distance. You can still kind of see the vague city getting larger and larger, and then you see the same thing out in the plains. It's closer to the road. Seems bigger. It's kind of a a darker color. Again, it's hard to make out key identities yet. But again, it has its head down at the dirt, taking deep breaths, and every once in a while just lift its head, seem to sniff the air and take a few steps forward and stop, put its head back down to the dirt.
I am going to point this out to my two companions. Like, that's the thing that was following me.
I see. Well, it doesn't seem to have noticed you.
You continue to move past it, and it begins making its way kind of towards the side of the road, and it comes to a pile. And at this point, Mike, if you're looking forward, you probably don't see it, but those of you that are kind of in the cart can be turning around to look at it. But it kind of comes to a pile of refuse, and it sits there with its head down for a while, taking big, deep breaths, and brings its head up, kind of looks around. Again, big, deep breaths. Begins to get kind of panicked, looking around, sits back on its hind, and just begins to kind of stare forward, looking at nothing, kind of at the horizon, and just, again, big, deep breaths. And as they start to get bigger, you start to notice a bit of dirt almost pulls up and into its nostrils and back down, and its breath just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you continue going at the same speed, or do you pick up? Do you stop to investigate?
I strongly encourage Mike to speed up if it's possible.
As do I.
So you...
And then I'll whip the donkey.
Is this something you often do with your donkey? Kind of make them run around with a heavy load on the back?
Heavy load?
Well, I know you normally walk beside it, so that's what I'm asking. Is it normally something that you make it run?
Well, when the cart's fully loaded down, this is not a heavy load.
True. This is just 2, instead of 12.
I mean, I don't often nudge the donkey to go faster, but I will, like, when I want it to go, I'll kind of give a little flick of the reins, and that's all I'm really doing. So it knows to kind of pick up the pace a little bit.
Yeah, it kind of lurches forward. You have to grab, kind of the side just to steady yourself. And just as you begin to move forward, like you see this bit of wind expanding. It gets right to the point where it's just about to touch the cart, and you see the creature kind of look back at you. And as the wave of dirt and leaves comes back into its nostrils, it just slowly turns and faces ahead again, and eventually you guys find yourself kind of heading to the bridge that enters into the main part of the city. The creature doesn't seem to move from that position. You just see these large breaths going around, and the smell begins to clear up as you get closer to the river. Crossing over the river itself, not really bothered by too much traffic. You enter into the far edge of the harbor, where the train is available. Do you plan on stopping here to take the train, or take the donkey all the way in?
Oh, please say that we can take the train.
I think the train is going to be faster.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll get us away from that thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about. And your donkey will be safe if we take the train.
Yeah, it's the harbor, there's a lot of shipments that go through here.
All I gotta do is, when we get there, everybody's unloaded, and just kind of smack the donkey and it'll head off towards the pit.
I have an awful lot of faith that your animal doesn't get intercepted anywhere.
You realize that I raised this donkey from a baby.
It's not the donkey I'm worried about.
The donkey's gonna be fine. But clearly, if you noticed, he recognized little what's-his-face over here. The donkey's smarter than you think.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the one that ended up in an open field?
You don't know that.
I'm just saying. Just saying.
That wasn't part of the description I gave you of what I did.
Alright, So we're taking the
The,
train.
the
Mhm.
donkey
And apparently
told me.
Mike's magic donkey will find its way home.
I mean, it'll definitely start heading that way. So we'll see. Yeah,
It'll
you
get there.
you probably have to wait a little bit for a train to arrive. Probably have to wait till the top of the hour. So there's just that awkward moment where the three of you are just sitting on a bench, two of you looking like you've had a hard day of work, the third looking very out of his place. He just doesn't
Yep.
look like it fits here. He's covered in mess, but kind of dressed a bit neatly and has a boot on his foot. But you sit there. The harbor, it's just busy. You can hear the horns of the steamships rolling through the river. There's the steady creak of the windmills that still turn on the edge of the harbor. Just the sound of carts and movement and packages, large crates being delivered and shipped around, just kind of busy. But eventually you hear the loud horn of the steam train and it begins to pull in. Probably only a few passenger carriages. The rest of it's primarily for transportation as it makes its way through the industrial district. But you know that there is a stop kind of in the deep part of downtown. Have any of you ever been to the Met before, the main police station of the Metropolitan Police?
I have not. Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I probably haven't.
And
Mike, you're the only one here who's been arrested.
True, but that was in the blue collar district.
Yeah, I wasn't arrested in this district, so...
Well, right, but you didn't say
No.
anything. That was me prompting for an answer.
It's more they would know my name, because they'd probably have records.
Maybe. I mean, we're
But-
talking about the 19th century. Information travels kind of slow.
Well, yeah.
And did they even get your name, or did they just... It's that big dude.
Mm-hmm.
Which arrest?
Never mind. That told me all I need to know.
So yeah, in that case, you all begin kind of riding the train to downtown. The scenery passes through the industrial district. Again, just a landscape of large buildings, smokestacks, spewing dark smoke into the atmosphere. Many wagons and larger transportation kind of vehicles moving supplies all around town. And you begin to come towards the outskirt of downtown, kind of go through the small residential area, a lot of townhomes, all of that, and you begin to make your way towards deep downtown where all the very tall buildings are. You get off the station and begin to kind of make your way towards the main square where the Met, a few the courtyard, or the courts, a few of the other main buildings, the Royal Bank, they're all kind of together in deep downtown. The Met itself, it is a large kind of semicircular building where it's angling towards the front. In the front, what you could call it a courtyard, there's a few benches, there's stairs that lead up to the front doors, there's a variety of horses that have been tied up in the front, all of them wearing that deep dark kind of blue saddle marked with the emblem of the Metropolitan Police. There's a good probably 15 or 20 constables. You see a few, they appear to be maybe inspectors that are in more streetwear that are standing outside having a conversation. You see a couple constables there with dogs at their side, and a decent amount of general public that are in the process of having a conversation, maybe making their way inside. So it seems to be a fairly busy place. But yeah, you guys have a moment to kind of stand here. It seems to be maybe a 4 or 5 story tall building, and the stairs seem to lead right into the main entryway. So you have a moment outside to prepare, to think, to have a conversation. What would you like to do?
Blanche is going to turn and look at Mike. I suggest you talk as little as possible.
Or something.
What?
I'll just kind of nod. Standing there swaying a little bit.
And then I'll look at Eric. Well, welcome to the order.
Thank you.
I'll give him a nice slap on the back.
Uh-oh.
No!
Yay!
So as you hear the train departing in the distance, Eric, if
The
you could
train
please do
arriving.
me a favor and roll a
So
d30.
atmospheric. All right. So atmospheric. It's like I was there.
Oh,
And he
What
gets
the
a
hell?
30.
Okay, why'd you have to burn all of your luck on one roll?
I don't know. I've
Right.
I've been having a weird string of luck lately.
should we pause before we head inside? Is something awful
Nope,
gonna happen?
don't. You're good. Don't even worry about
Uh-huh.
it. Things will happen
Oh,
when they
great.
happen.
My favorite thing to hear a GM say, "Don't worry about it."
Oh, don't you worry about a thing. Not at all. So you make your way up the stairs. You kind of have to, move around a few constables that seem to be rushing out in a hurry. But you come to the front doorway, open it up, and inside there's a fairly large entryway. Back of the back of it, there's a tall kind of wooden desk. You can see a few constables, maybe a sergeant, are in the process of having, talking with the public, kind of directing them around. Looking kind of towards the full facility, you can see a variety of small offices kind of off to each side. There seems to be some kind of open prep room. A lot of chairs sit, so probably a place where the constables get their morning messages. In this courtyard kind of open entryway itself, there's a variety of different seating areas, small kind of benches. You can see some families sitting, maybe giving a report. A few kind of bigger, burlier men that might be in the process of being released. You probably see at least one person in handcuffs that are taken to some stairways that are back behind this desk that seem to go lower. You do notice that there are stairways that go up as well, so it seems to be kind of both ways. But yeah, you kind of stand here. It's just bustling with movement, but not any of it seems to be loud, aggressive, any of that. Just kind of a constant murmur of sound.
If I don't see an obvious place I could go to find her office, I'll just head up to the front desk.
Okay. As you get to the front desk, one of the constables kind of looks to you and just, yes, what is it?
Hello. I was hoping to talk to Miss Talia Justice. She gave me her name the other day, and I have information about some shootings that were happening in the warehouse district. Or the industrial district, sorry.
You have a meeting with the chief inspector. She expecting you?
No, she just gave me her name, and then there was this weird sound at one of the warehouses, and she rushed off to deal with that. And I haven't really get to see her again.
And
So I tried to come down and volunteer.
I see. And what is your name?
My name is Liza.
Liza. And are these two men with you?
Yeah. This is my husband, Frank. He don't talk much. She'll just pat Mike on the chest. And this is my cousin, Eddie.
Oh, very good, love. All right, give me a moment. I'll go see if she is available. Hang tight.
Thank you.
Kind of goes. He slaps one of the other constables kind of on the shoulder and just gives motion that he's going to be heading upstairs. He goes to the back. He has his notepad that you had seen him kind of writing in and heads up. A couple minutes later, he comes down. All right, Liza. She's currently having a bit of a meeting, but if you'd like to go upstairs and wait, she said she should be able to meet with you in a moment. I can lead you up there.
Thank you, love.
Of course. So he begins to kind of lead the three of you up these big kind of wooden stairs. Everything's kind of grand and polished, very well cleansed. And on the second tier, you see a lot of windows that kind of face out towards the main entryway that you came into. And you kind of have to walk through a few different hallways, as the room itself, it's not as open as it was downstairs. There's, again, quite a few different kind of offices, maybe even some locked kind of possible vault, something like that, storage rooms. But eventually you kind of come to what would be considered a corner office. It has a bit of a waiting area out front with a few benches that are up against kind of this corner section. There don't appear to be any windows in here, so everything's just kind of this nice mahogany kind of wood, a variety of different, kind of natural paintings of different forestry and all that around the wall. And in front of these benches is a door. It kind of has that milk glass on it, so you can't quite see through it, and etched into it you have Chief Inspector Thalia Justice in kind of a gold etching stamped on the door. He leads you to, kind of ushers you to a seat. All right, take a seat here. She'll speak to you when ready.
Thank you, love.
He kind of just shakes his head and begins to make his way down there. Every once in a while you can see movement kind of pass by the window, and you sit there for a while. You can see a few what might be secretaries that kind of pass by, a few different constables, quite a few, again, normal, what you might consider inspectors wearing their streetwear. A couple that walk by are very much kind of yawning, and they see you and they kind of quickly try to straighten up their clothes. It looks like they may have just woken up. They kind of make their way past the hallway, and eventually the door opens, and Thalia is standing there once more. So, Eric, you see a woman, probably mid to late 30s. She currently has her hair tightly bound kind of into a bun in the back of her head, brown hair. She is wearing almost like a pantsuit, which might stand out strange, not wearing a dress. You can see that everything is nice and there's no wrinkles or anything like that. She kind of has a bit of a darker skin tone, blue eyes, and she has a cigarillo that's kind of resting in her lips that she kind of puffs, and she opens it up. Wait, I know you. Who is there? Eliza out here?
Is there anyone in the room behind her?
As you look past, you don't see anyone there.
Having a meeting, are we?
I don't believe that's any of your business, dear. Is there Eliza out here?
She doesn't recognize me. I'm using the same thing that I used the day before.
It's a different name. You gave her a name of 3 people she's never heard of before.
Yeah. She'll just lift her hand and wiggle her finger. That would be me.
Ah. Honesty can get you further than deception. So,
Yes, well,
I recognize you. Who are these men?
this is
I'm gonna
Mike.
wave timidly.
And she'll point at him as he's waving.
I see. And this one.
And this young man's name is Eric, was it?
Yes, Eric.
Apparently
Pleasure
he
to meet you.
received a missive from the Order, and, well, no one told us to expect him, or what we were supposed to do with the item he was told to steal once he brought it to us.
She stops for a moment. Your first task, and you can't even figure it out. All right,
Well,
you two, and points to Blanche and Mike. In here. This one, you sit out. You wait.
As you like.
She opens her door. Her office is pretty chaotic. There's books all over, many different shelves, lots of books. She has a lot of strange, almost you could consider them occult kind of imagery around, Wiccan symbols and that kind of stuff. And then hanging up back behind her desk is a fairly long knife. And the knife definitely stands out as when you look at it, it's hard to tell how big it is. It seems to kind of change its length depending on how you look at it. Her desk has a variety of papers strewn about. She has ink pens and wells all over the place, and there's a couple leather chairs that kind of sit and face hers. She kind of goes to the desk and kind of sits down on it and points to the chairs. So, you just couldn't go by another day without seeing me, is it? Come, sit.
Actually, I sent in my report, but I need to amend it, as it would turn out.
I have not received your report yet today. I haven't received the mail yet. Normally comes
I'll
later.
wave timidly.
Sit, Mike,
what is it?
sit. It would appear that when I sent Mike and William to drop off Hans with his family, they decided to wait in the church and were set up to take the fall for his disappearance. And then, rather than staying with the police and allowing cooler heads to sort things out, they broke out of the wagon. I found out this morning.
There's this flash of just anger. Like you can actually see the light in her eyes kind of flickers this dark kind of red. She goes over and she grasps Mike by the shoulders. You are one of the stupidest men I've ever met. And you see her hand kind of reel back as if she's about to slap you.
Nothing.
I don't think that's necessary, and certainly not productive.
Just a wide smile on the face.
As she hits you, you feel... Well, Blanche, you actually can see this. The force of the impact, you see beard begin to appear beneath her hand. And as she hits him, the illusion disappears. Very well.
I worked quite hard on that appearance.
Dearie,
Wanna smile
that
and
was
wave at
not
Blanche.
that well. Anyways, so you decided to escape from custody after having the boy within custody. Has the boy been returned home?
He is with his family.
Very good. Do you have the money?
No, apparently the family
I
has
see.
the money.
I see.
Minus 10,000.
What do you mean, minus 10,000?
The instructions that I gave were to take the boy, along with the man that you were threatening to kill, pick up the money, drop off the boy. The man would get 10,000, his share, we would take the rest and bring it back to the order. Unfortunately, they let him take the money, and then they stayed with the boy, and he set them up. Or someone set them up, I'm not sure that it was him, it was the letter left with the family.
This was the individual that was down in the cellar.
Yes.
Loose ends, as I said. As I said. Do you know where this individual may have gone?
She'll look at Mike, because she was not the last person to see him. All he told me was that he was going to take his money, all that he needed, for whatever purpose he had, and then he was going to disappear. That he wanted nothing to do with this place or any of this. any of
And
these.
you trusted him.
No, that's why I wanted them to give him his section of the money and send him on his way, and they didn't.
Mike, any thoughts where this individual may have gone?
I'll look at Blanche.
Don't
Who-
look at me.
Was it that arrested you, Mike?
Oh, this is a good detail. I didn't get this one earlier.
It was Mr. Taco. Taco Villon.
Do I need to slap you again? Have the fumes gotten to your mind that bad? You Taco Vane own. You do realize as a chief inspector I'm aware of any of the inspectors throughout the entire city, so perhaps give me his name.
Perhaps Paco Viol?
Paco
Isn't that the name?
Vane.
Wasn't that the name? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right.
Pasco Vion from the Blue Collar
yes.
District?
Yes, that one.
That one. Of course, that one. All right. And what were the charges he was placing against you?
Answer, Mike.
He had a note that said that we would give ourselves up.
Yes, but what were the charges? I assume kidnapping. What else?
He didn't read me my rights.
We're in Victorian England. You don't have rights. I still would have told you what you were being arrested for.
A note. No money. The boys returned home, so there's that. Unfortunately, not all boys will be returning home. She kind of moves her hand a bit as she just looks to the both of you, and you see just the very vague, they look like morgue reports, where you can see kind of name and age of 4 boys. She kind of slides her hand over. I've been cleaning up quite a bit of mess from you. Why is it that you continue to do things that risk the order?
I'm sorry, I'm unclear what you're talking about.
I'm not sure what you all did, who did what, but you can't expect me to believe that you had nothing to do with the, well, issue at Mather Industries yesterday.
I know something happened at Mather, but we were leaving at the same time.
Of course you are. Just kind of covers them back up. Well, you're here now, so what is it you've come to ask of me? What is it you need me to do this time?
Less come to ask of and more looking for guidance.
I see.
There's some messes I don't have the ability to clean up. This one is quite far beyond my reach. And she'll look at Mike. I don't even know where William is. I could... Oh, I do, sort of. I know what type of place he's in, but I'm not sure precisely where in the city it is.
She takes a moment, goes and sits behind her desk, kind of takes a cigarillo, sits down, leans back, kind of closes her eyes. You don't know where the individual is gone. They're going to want someone to charge the crime. Pasco Vaillon, he's a good one. Well, I can't say he's cleared a lot of cases, but he does spend quite a lot of time with them. And if he knows your face, if he knows your name, I have no doubt he will continue to search for you until he has you once again within his iron. But you... Hmm. There might be ways. There might be ways. While this conversation's happening, she's kind of in deep thought, Eric. You're sitting outside. You can hear a murmured conversation going on, but is there anything that you're doing out here?
I'm trying to really get in there and not get in there, but I'm trying to hear as well as I can. I'm kind of focusing all my attention to hear what's being said on the other side of the door, and just kind of idly looking up and down the corridor. If there's nobody around, I might actually get close to the door so that I can hear better.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can hear muffled conversations. Every once in a while, you hear kind of a louder voice over the others. You did hear a loud, like, pop come from the room. But yeah,
Oh, bam.
if you want to get closer, you can definitely try to sneak around and, like, go and try to lean up against the wall, you know, pretending you're stretching your leg because it's sore.
Yeah, it's injured. I would definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
Yes, I will do this.
So sneak around to look inconspicuous.
All right, so stealth is a must. The art of deception. And just for sneaking around, or are we going to also say that I'm trying to listen in? as to what's going
So
on?
sneak around is basically going to be both. Like, are you going to be able to get close enough to the door to be overhearing their conversation without...
Okay. I'd like to throw perceptive in as well.
Okay.
Then. And I think I am going to. I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna use my exposure, my fear of exposure weakness
Mm-hmm.
on this one.
Makes sense. Okay. As you make your way over, you overhear a conversation. They're talking about a boy, money. Someone escaped. This Mike person that's in there seems to have broken out of jail. They mention a name of another inspector, Pasco Vallone. That's from the blue collar district. Someone named William is brought up. So you're overhearing the conversation. As you kind of lean towards the door, one of the secretaries, she has a bundle of papers, kind of walks by and sees you and kind of looks you up and down and just kind of skirts along her way, carrying her papers.
I just sort of smile at her as she notices me and
Mhm.
said, "Lovely day out."
Kind of just looks at your dirty clothes and your foot, kind of very sternly keeps going. Talia leans forward on her chair. All right, here's what we're going to do. I will bring Pasco here so I can look at that letter. If that's the only thing he has from you, perhaps I might be able to at least get your sentence down. Perhaps I can offer him something. I know he's been looking for it for a bit. But I'm going to need something from you, Mike.
I'm gonna put my hand on my cheek as I said ow.
Yes, you've been a little troublemaker, haven't you?
I'm gonna smile and nod.
What is it you want to
Enjoying that
do?
target.
Why are you here, Mike? Why have you continued to stay with the Order and continue to put your life at risk doing these things?
To clean up the streets
Hmm.
with a very serious, stern look on my face.
Clean up the streets. How can you clean something when you're adding to the mess?
I mean, is the lake really a mess?
She walks closer to you and places her hand on your shoulder. Smell of kind of leather, the kind of sweet, bitter smell of the old smoke. She kind of, as she does, kind of drags her fingernails across, kind of giving this little scratching sound. What does it mean for the city to be clean, Mike?
I think that's more of the eye of the beholder.
Tell me from your eye.
I'll look down at my fingernails and start picking some dirt out from under them.
Her hand kind of goes up your neck and kind of rests at the base of your skull, and you can feel her fingers kind of grasp a bit of your hair from behind. You need to focus. Focus on what is best for all. I know you have wishes to bring beauty to the city, and beauty is needed. I have heard about the parks you've made in the East Slums and how they're a place of safety for the families there. That is wonderful work. Work that we at the Order would be absolutely proud of. We're still seeing what the Emerald Lake is, and, well, I understand what you did there. And while the loss of life was great, I do not necessarily fault you for that. It was not just your act. However, the bodies are beginning to stack, Mike. Questions are beginning to arrive at my desk, questions I cannot answer. I do not have time to continue to clean up your mess while you attempt to clean the mess of the city. So, she pulls down pretty sharply, and you feel a tug, sharp pain as some hair is pulled from your head. She brings her hand back, and you can see she's got a pretty decent chunk of hair. She takes it. A little bit of insurance. You've heard of that, right? The fire insurance companies in the city. She goes over to a corner, and she has, it kind of looks like an small iron cauldron. She takes it and places the hair inside. Little insurance policy that if you decide to act in foul behavior, messing up the city, making it a dirtier place instead of making it cleansed, well, I'll be able to clean up your mess much easier now. So go along your way. I will deal with the inspector for you and William. I will have tasks for you. In fact, I have a few now, but not today. Today is for, well, meditation and deep thought. So if that's everything, she kind of wipes her hand off, kind of wipes the hair off her shirt.
She's gonna be wiping the hand for a while.
Yeah, it's kind of like greasy, but it doesn't seem to like gross her out. She's just trying to, get enough of it off that she can grab another cigarillo and light it. Places it to her mouth. I do believe you can see your two selves off.
If I hear that through the door, I'm going to go back to where I was seated before.
Okay. Yeah, you heard all of that.
Young Mr. Eric.
What about him?
Confirm that he was definitely sent by the Order.
Yes, and as we have all reached out to you in a variety of ways before, this one seemed to be asking many questions. So we felt it might be pertinent to see if he's truly up to task before we accept him in our ranks.
Understood. And did the order want his flower delivered directly to them, or is that something you would prefer that we handle?
Well, as his letter would have stated, it needs to be applied to the taint. From there, it should help to cleanse the water source.
So you would prefer that we do it. Understood.
It is not my job, and I don't know how he's been able to bring you into it, but if you feel it is your responsibility, feel free. You'll be doing a good service, helping to cleanse that part of the city, as Mike here surely wants to.
To the lake!
Thank you for your time.
Let's hope we don't see each other again soon, shall we?
Or ever. She'll just smile sweetly.
She leans back, and you kind of hear the creak of the leather as she lights up, and she just looks at you. You notice the flame as she's lighting with the match kind of dances around a bit. It's not a steady flame. She kind of looks at it, smiles a bit, watches you all walk out the door. You can see Eric just kind of sitting there, hands in his lap, just kind of looking at the floor, waiting. But Eric, you see the two of them begin to make their way out.
Do I see any bruises on Mike?
Well, you see Mike. You
Well, yeah.
don't see you don't see the worker man anymore. Your friend's back.
I do not bruise easy.
So,
Alright.
It was more of a love tap anyway.
I take it things went well?
As well as could be expected. Well, we should probably leave and not discuss this here.
Certainly. After you.
As the three of you get up, Eric, you kind of look and you see one of the sergeants kind of walking down the room, and he kind of stops watching you away and looks real quick, kind of surveys the scene, doesn't see what he was expecting to see, and kind of just stands there for a moment, just watching the three of you walk down the hallways, going past the offices, kind of getting towards the stairs, and then once you start heading down, kind of out of his sight, head back down, and the constable kind of looks, was she able to get to you?
Yes, love. Thank you very much.
Wait, where's Frank?
Oh, he left, love. Had to get to work.
I see.
Late shift.
I see. Wait a minute. Jonathan, where's that report we just got? And they start kind of shuffling papers a bit.
As
What?
he says that, I'm gonna, like, when he's still looking at us, I'm gonna blow him a kiss.
They start shuffling through papers. And,
Blanche is just going to grab Mike's arm and start walking towards the door very purposefully.
While they're on their way out, and the guy's going through the paperwork, I'm going to kind of distract him for a little bit of time by talking up the cleanliness, the clockwork, meticulous nature of your department. It's really quite a credit to the city and to the people who work here, of course.
He kind of looks at you for a moment, distracted, continues to look through the paper. Seems like they've got a stack of reports and all that are coming through. And every once in a while, again, just looking at you, trying to figure out what are you talking about, strange, dirty man. Continues to go back. And after a moment, you hear kind of a rap against the rail coming down the stairs, and they all kind of stop and turn around. The report we received from the blue-collar district, it will not be needed. Just send it directly to my office, will you, constables? And they turn around. Oh, of course, Chief Inspector. They seem to pull out something. As they're walking by, you can see a vague drawing of somebody that might kind of look like Mike, and then another figure that kind of looks a bit younger, kind of shorter hair. The eyes are almost piercing. But they kind of take it and hand it to her, and she looks directly at you and just gives you a small, kind of conniving smirk. I do believe it's your time to leave, Mr. Wessler.
But of course. Keep up the good work, lads. and then I leave.
Take care. All right, go back, reorganize. How can I help the next person? You all head into the front courtyard. I think as you guys kind of walk out the front door, let's take a quick break there. So
Okay.
we can refill water and all that. And when we come back, we'll figure out what direction you want to go and all that stuff. So
Sounds good.
BRBs in 5.
Okay.